We're ready to move on to the Wheel of Talk section, where we will play a spinner thing, and then it'll give us a topic.
Spin the wheel of time,
and we can talk about it.
Spin the wheel.
Another spin on the wheel of time.
It's gonna be red. Red.
Oh, it is red.
My favorite color.
So the red.
I don't know if you can tell, but yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it's not. Which characters? Oh.
Well, the red Aja, by the way, are one of the. Well, so the Ice Die have the 7 different colors. Each one is a kind of a different role, I guess. And the red Aja, I think, are the ones who are the witch hunters. Really, they hunt down people who have the power, and they gentle them if they need it.
What does that mean?
Well, it's
Is that
not
a euphemism for murder?
No, they don't. No, it's not actually.
Gently murder them.
Yes.
How do you gently murder?
Well, which characters are we most excited to see?
Let's not answer that question.
I think there's a lot of characters who are really interesting who come along. And
There's like thousands of characters to even talk about. But me personally, I was excited to see Lan. 'Cause I just think he's a badass. He doesn't wield any magic or anything like that, or the one power, but he's just dope.
Yeah, Lan's backstory is covered a little bit, well, quite a lot actually, but in the prequel as well, it's covered. You don't have to watch the prequel. Well, not that there is a TV show of the prequel. Sorry, you don't have to read the prequel book to get into this at all. But again, it's like it's nice to have it there, right? Like
it's nice to know that if you find something you like the look of, and then you can. There's all this. Well, someone in chat said earlier, there's 4.5 million words to read the entire Wheel of Time series.
Yeah, there's a Gleeman called Tom Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he's going to be represented. We'll find out. I'm excited to see that because there's certain interesting characters as well. There's what's his name? The Wolf. The Wolfman. It's Wolfman.
Okay.
That's not spoiler, is it, Mistah Islah?
Sure.
There's a man who's.
I'm being so careful.
I'm being careful. Okay, there's a wolf. There's a man who has something to do with wolves. I'm excited to see him. Next question. They're telling me the next question. Yeah. Spin. I will see Swan as well. I want to see Swan.
Yellow.
The yellow. What's that? We're going to find out what the question is. It is someone who hasn't read the books. What are your expectations of the series? We want to start with you, Anna.
I was just wondering after watching the trailer and I started reading more about the Wheel of Time, and once I realized that this is a 14-book series with over 1,800 characters named in the books, how easy it is to bring such a complex fantasy world into an adaptation that they must be, in a way, I guess, simplified so that it can be fit into episodes. As you said, the first series will be the first book. But will that mean that we're going to see 14 series? I know that the second and third one is signed, so there will be a continuation. But I'm just curious how close it will be to the books when it comes to something as complex as the Wheel of Time. And for me, it's always with the fantasy creatures too, especially the dark ones. How will they look? The animal features of them. There are certain distinctions between each of them, and will it look, I guess, in a way realistic, even though it doesn't exist in our world? How can they make it look cool but still interesting?
Yeah,
I think those are some of my questions, and the expectations too are there. That I want it to be cool and like we are living through it, even though it's obviously a fantasy world.
What about you, Oz? What are your expectations?
I will say you do kind of see it in the trailer, but Trollocs are like really gruesome beings, right? And they actually didn't use CGI. They're actual costumes, and the guys actually are
cool.
8 foot, 9 foot tall, and they're in like stilts underneath.
Amazing.
So when I was watching it, it looked like so realistic. So you're gonna see a lot of that happening.
Oh, awesome! I much prefer practical effects where they
where possible.
Yeah.
Classic.
Definitely.
You love that, Oz, like the classic 80s
Yeah.
Rubber masks.
You put some bubble gum in the microwave. That's much better than any CGI. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some good. I just think a really good solid story, because after, again, like Anna was saying, I did a little bit of research into the plotline just as a vague sort of idea, and kind of feel bad that I didn't know anything about it up until this point. And very much looking forward to actually watching the whole series and then getting hooked on it, because it's been such a long time, for me at least, that I've felt like I'm really hooked on a series that's definitely got some longevity to it. And also, like, I'm hoping that there's going to be a lot of horror elements to it, and I mean, I like a bit of gore and violence, so I'm fingers crossed there's going to be a lot of that in it.
Well, I think all of these points are very valid. To address like the idea that will it be 14 series? I think that in the first series you do have to do a lot of setup, right? You have to set up the world, what the characters do, who they are, what the world they live in is, right? And I think that as things move forward, I think there's lots that could go, but also potentially, it doesn't have, like you said with The Witcher. The Witcher books are very different. They're actually quite a lot of short stories. They're a bit weird and disjointed as well. And I think that it doesn't always have to draw the exactly as the source material was in order to do a successful adaptation of something. I know Lord of the Rings, again, very different actually, and to the books in places, and it improved it often. And the other thing is like horror elements. I think they have also aged up the actors. I mentioned earlier that in the book they're all 17, but actually the actors they've chosen and they've aged them up a little bit already in the adaptation to make them more like mid-20s, so they can. So it doesn't feel as young adult, necessarily. It feels more like a kind of a grown-up fantasy show.
More mature.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. At least that's
exciting.
That's what I'm excited for.
I don't really have any expectations. I've purposefully avoided finding too much out about this because I want to go in really.
Sometimes
fresh.
that's a good thing, though.
I think so, because otherwise, if I do loads of research and I find out loads about it, and then I have my own expectations, then I can just end up being disappointed when it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Whereas if I go in with not knowing anything.
Well, you've seen the trailer now, though, and I've talked about it for half an hour to you, so I've kind of...
You've ruined it!
You've ruined it,
Lewis!
Some expectation has been built.
Yeah, you now know everything about it, so sorry, guys. You've all been tainted by my prep, my pre-show prep chat.